And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie back with Katie Beecher. Katie, how do you receive your psychic information?
I receive it in all ways possible. So when I first started, it was more like body feelings and then kind of just knowing things in my head. And the longer that I have done this, so I really recommend that people explore their abilities and, take classes and you can do a lot of work at home too, on your own. But I am able to feel things in my body, so physical things. I often see scenes or pictures of people or settings in my head. I hear voices in my head. Sometimes I'm able to see spirits and things if they're in the room. I sometimes smell things like, tobacco smoke or something like that, or mold or stuff like that. I think all the ways that I can possibly think of. I'm pretty lucky.
What do you think you're tapping into? What is out there?
I guess I try to understand that myself. And I definitely believe that my guides, some of my guides are, relatives that have passed, so like my grandmother and my mom. I think that there's a universal energy field. You can look at it as, quantum physics. You can look at it as collective unconscious, but kind of this energy field that we're all tapped into from the beginning of time, and that includes some genetics. And also, God, love. You can tap into evil as well. But I also, when I'm doing the readings, I tap into other people's guides and their pets and things like that. So I wish I could actually explain that. I don't know if anyone has an answer for it exactly, but yeah, I just feel like it's this universal kind of energy force connected with love and God.
Does the information come to you like telepathy?
Yeah. I definitely do pick up on other people's thoughts and feelings and often know what people are going to say, before they say it. So that is one way that it comes to me.
I had Uri Geller on Friday night, and he's the mentalist. You know him.
Yeah.
And he apparently had a UFO encounter when he was younger that I think changed his life. He doesn't like to talk about it too much, but it had a profound effect on him. Nothing like that happened to you?
Not that I'm aware of. I certainly do believe in aliens. I think it's kind of arrogant not to believe in, life beyond our planet.
Right.
So no one who has identified themselves as an alien that I'm aware of, but who knows?
Who knows indeed. That's true. Now, what do you say about people trying to treat symptoms? What do you treat? The body, the mind? I know you're not a doctor.
Right.
So don't say cure, but what do you do?
Right. So I got to look at, the whole body, physical, emotional, and spiritual. If my guides tell me maybe about different exercises that people can do, maybe for, tight hip flexors or sciatica or things like that, I'll bring up those exercises. I talk about possibly some helpful herbs, although everything has side effects. So, you do have to be careful whatever you put into your body. And I'm not a huge fan of self-treating because I think sometimes we can go too far and without, guidance from a professional, that can be a little tricky. But I do pick up things about certain herbs that can be helpful, hormones for sure, things like nutritional supplements, again, recommend people check with their doctors and things. And a lot of, like different emotional types of therapies. I help people connect to their intuition and their bodies, which is really important because especially if you had trauma or illness or loss, a lot of us walk around kind of not in our bodies, between this world and the other world. And that's a normal escape. It's a healthy, coping mechanism. But if we're over there all the time and not in our bodies, then it's really hard to heal because you can't hear the signals from your body, what you need to do for it. You can't be present. You can't be grounded. So we work on that sort of thing. And also really practical things. Like I like people to leave my readings with practical, actionable things that they can do. So even if they've been in this horrible relationship forever, instead of thinking of it as this overwhelming thing that, I need to get a divorce tomorrow, that's not going to work. But it's like, what things can you do today? So can you potentially talk to a lawyer? Can you look at, other possible jobs? Just look. You don't have to change. So, trying to think about like actionable things people can do to feel like they're moving forward and they don't have to be so afraid.
All right, well, let's start with the calls. Let's go west of the Rockies. Christy is with us from Los Angeles, and she is 44 years old. Hi, Christy. Welcome to the program.
Hi, George. Hi, Katie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much.
And what would your question be, Christy?
Well, I related to you, Katie, on so many levels, and I guess I'll keep it short and just ask a normal question, which is I'm focusing on work, and I just wanted to see if anything in the love life is coming up. But I just wanted to also thank you for everything you said, because honestly, everything you did say I relate to on so many levels, on very deep level. So thank you for that.
Work and relationship, Katie.
Okay. No, I'm very glad. So one thing I'm hearing is that there's a lot of feelings there, and that you're afraid to feel things. You're afraid to feel the uncomfortableness and the pain. Like, you may think you're feeling it, but it feels very surface. And to go deep into your body, work on some mindfulness so that you can actually feel like, why is this making me miserable? What do I need from a relationship? What do I need from this relationship? How am I being treated? Like, what are the things that really, really upset me? And especially for work too, I'm hearing that you don't feel fulfilled. It's, again, kind of surfacey, that you would like to be doing something more spiritually and emotionally related. Does that resonate with you?
I would be so open to it. I'm just, like I said, putting the puzzle pieces together of so many things and on that spiritual journey right now. But yes, I just don't know how I would even get there, because everything is so fresh, I guess, with this spiritual journey part of just really accepting that the empath and really trying to grasp onto that, I guess. I don't even know how I would go upon it.
I don't think that's up for Katie. That's not your bailiwick, is it?
No, I mean, it kind of is.
Do you actually help people get through that pathway?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love doing that. Where I would start, my dear, is, first of all, taking it one step at a time. I would start by working on connecting with your intuition. And my favorite way, and this is something that saved my life that everybody can benefit from, and the steps are in my book, so I'll just do a quickie, but to physically write out like a question or your thoughts or feelings and direct it to your intuition, ask about anything, and then see what you get back. Just allow it to happen. Don't judge it. Don't fear it. Just see what you hear back and then write back to it and have a written conversation with it. And don't worry about if it's your intuition or what's in your head, because you're smart too. But just start with centering yourself and connecting with your intuition without expectations, and just see what comes up for you. And I feel like that's a great place to starting to feel guided and safe and have some support from within yourself.
Great. Thanks, Christy. Hope it works out for you. How do people know when they take your information? How do they know how to apply it to make it work?
Well, I guess you don't, do you? That's some of the fear, right? So I actively work with people on let's try this now, see how it feels for you. I give people so much information that sometimes it's overwhelming and they don't really know, where to start. But I love it when people try my techniques and try my suggestions and then, send me an email, get back to me. And people are like, wow, that really worked. I didn't think it would. I'm really feeling changes. And sometimes you don't even realize you're changing, or that things are working. So you kind of just have to keep at it and do what feels right, for you.
Sure. Let's go to Scott in Charlotte, North Carolina, 54 years old. Scotty, welcome to the show.
Hi, George. Hi, Katie. A little over a year ago, a good long-time friend of mine suddenly cut me out of their life without any explanation at all. And I was just curious if you could. I'm just curious about the behind the scenes, like what happened, what's happening now, like will we be friends again? Like I just have this big question mark of what happened. It was just so sudden.
So the first thing I'm hearing is it had nothing to do with you. That your friend is going through, their own stuff. So try not to take it personally, and it may help you to kind of examine, like, is there anything that I did or could have done or whatever, just to help yourself feel better. But I don't think that's the issue. I think that they're going through a lot of stuff on their own. I feel like they're having a spiritual crisis. They're going through things that they don't think they can talk to anyone about, and maybe some like depression and anxiety. And I feel like that person was isolating themselves through no fault of your own, but they just didn't, feel comfortable talking to anybody about it. I do feel like, I don't know. I mean, I was going to say, I feel like you guys could reconnect, and you definitely could. And I think I would give it a try at some point. But if you don't get a favorable response, then maybe this person just isn't aligned with you anymore. And, it's kind of a blessing. But don't hold on to that hurt. I mean, I know it's hard, but it really isn't about you. They're really hurting. So try to have like some compassion for them, which I'm sure you do. I'm not saying you don't, but.
How much of this, Katie, is out of our control?
Wow. We certainly cannot control other people. That is 100% for sure. And the sooner that we accept that, the better off we'll be. And a lot of bad relationships happen because other people have problems and you're trying to fix them, or you feel their pain and you think it's yours, so you try to fix, or your coping mechanism in your family was that you had to fix everybody and that was your role, so you had to push yourself aside. So we tend to waste a lot of time trying to fix other people, when one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from someone who said, pain might be someone else's greatest teacher. And if you try to get in the way of that and interfere, you might be doing them a disservice.
Interesting. Next up, we go to our wild card line, Michelle in Buffalo, New York, 60 years old. Hello, Michelle.
Yes, good morning. I'm calling because I've been in a relationship for the past 4 months now, and my women's intuition tells me that there is another woman in his life.
Aha.
When there's missing time and he's telling me where he was or what he was doing, I'm just listening and thinking to myself, no, that's not quite what you were doing.
What is the what's the psychic realm say about that one, Katie?
I am hearing that you are right on multiple levels, and that it goes even deeper than other people, because I just feel like he's not faithful in general, and that he is telling you one thing, and telling you one thing and doing another, but it's also about just not really being committed to you, and not being, and a lot of narcissism I'm picking up, and that he's just not there for you. And you're sort of in the position of, well, I've been doing this for 4 months and it's kind of the devil I know, and, dating sucks and it's really hard to get out there. But really examine for yourself, if you're picking up all these red flags, why are you still in it? What are you getting out of it? And what is keeping you from maybe you have tried to confront him and he's denied it. I feel like that's happened. But, what's keeping you in this? And think about ways that you can choose yourself and do self-care and send yourself love so that you won't need to be attached to this kind of negative, very alluring energy. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It does to me. Interesting take. When you get these feelings, I mean, what's coming into you when this is happening?
Some of it's words in my head. Some of it's just a feeling like I just saw the word narcissism, in my head. I felt like my guides were basically like, this guy is, I saw him underneath her. That was my symbolism of him being kind of in the underground and not being able to reveal his true self. And so she was kind of up above and he was, underneath doing things that were not above board is a great way to say it. So sometimes I see a lot of symbolism and then I have to try and interpret what my guides are trying to say.
All right, let's take one more call before the break. Let's go to Vicky in Missouri, 61 years old. Hey, Vicky, welcome.
Hi. I'm just looking for love and marriage. I want to find my true love. And if I have any message from my spirit guides, and I'm laying here with my cat, Mojo.
Mojo. Love and marriage. What's on the horizon? And we've got 2 minutes left.
Sure. So I'm hearing to go out and do some things that make you happy. Do some things you've never done before. You're looking so hard that is your quest. Instead of doing things that make you happy, that I feel like you're going to meet people when you least expect it. And it's going to be through just things that you enjoy. So finding people with mutual interests. And that when you stop looking, that's when you're going to find someone and also feel really good about yourself so that you're exuding that loving, positive energy.
When you get these feelings, what's the first thing that you grab? What comes in? Is it like remote viewing, Katie?
A little bit, yes. It is remote viewing. There's definitely some of that. A lot of things come at me all at the same time. So I often have to say to my guys, okay, hang on, I can't, say all of those things at the same time. So I'm actually sitting here when I'm talking, I'm actually writing stuff down because I do get a lot of things at once. So I have to kind of figure out what is the loudest voice. And sometimes I will see the word or the scene predominantly, and then some other stuff is like fainter. So the louder stuff, if you will, is the stuff that I usually say first. And then if I keep hearing the other softer stuff, then I'm like, okay, I know I need to say that.
What are some of the things you post on Instagram?
Well, my latest post is a really important one. It's about how no matter how many medical treatments, herbs, exercise, diet, energy, healing, all the things which are important, you can do all that stuff all day long. But without self-love and self-acceptance, it's really, really, really hard to heal. And that's one of the messages that I've heard the loudest ever since I started my recovery journey.
All right, we're going to come back in just a moment and take final calls with Katie Beecher right here on Coast to Coast. And again, her book is called Heal from Within. Her website linked up at coasttocoastam.com. And welcome back, our final segment with Katie Beecher, and we'll take your calls as well. Katie, are some people afraid to connect with their intuition and spiritual abilities?
They're going to maybe open themselves up to negativity or evil. They overthink the process and they think, like, what if I do it wrong? What if I listen and then I make a mistake and screw up my life? A lot of what happens is that when we listen to our intuition, it's often because we're having a problem and want some answers. And those answers can be really scary and mean a lot of change. And even if you kind of know, I really hate my job and I really need to get out of it, the scary part is like, what do I do? And where do I go? And what if I have to move? And there's all these, things. What if I make less money? And so the resistance to listening is often because it means change and also possibly having different relationships with people.
Let's go to the calls. Let's go east of the Rockies. Keith is with us in Ohio, 65 years old. Welcome to the show. Hi, Keith.
Hi, George. Hi, Katie. Yes.
Hi.
Katie, I am blind, and I just wanted to get an idea because I get bored easily and always want more to do and even perhaps to go back to work. Even though I'm disabled, I can still use my voice. I used to work in broadcasting, and I know I've spoken with George before, and I love being in the field and the media, and so I want to get your perspective of what you see, please.
Well, one thing I would say is I would not refer to myself as disabled, just because it's very limiting and it makes you kind of focus on the negative and the scary. And you sound like a pretty not, I don't even know how to phrase it, but you just sound like you really have your act together and you have so much going for you and you have so many strengths. And so to be able to focus on those instead of, well, there's so many jobs that need sight or whatever. And I really love the fact that there's so many online opportunities now and you don't necessarily have to go into an office. So I would take a look at that, look at your strengths. I don't know if you've been on sites like Fiverr before, but it's kind of like freelance things, and you sort of, make your pitch and you put in what you're good at and what you'd like to do, and then people can hire you from there. So turn it around and make it so this is what I want to be doing, this is what I'm going to put out there, and I'm going to create my own job, my own opportunity.
It sounds like his disability of blindness doesn't really hold him back.
That's what I was picking up. Yeah.
Thanks, Keith. Good luck. He's got a great radio voice, too, by the way.
I know.
Next up, we're going to Portland, Oregon. Elena's with us, 80 years old. Hello, Elena.
Hi. I just want to know if maybe you know something or feel something about I have balance problems and my feet and legs are just not working like they should.
So some medical issues here, Catherine.
I'm sorry, after you said balance, I didn't hear what you said after that.
Oh, I just have feet, and I have osteoporosis and osteoarthritis, and I don't know, recently my feet just don't do what I want them to do.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So one of the things that the first thing I heard was circulation. So look at
and balance
issues. And right. No, so and that can also come into balance because you need your blood to be circulating freely and the oxygen to be circulating freely and all of that kind of thing. And I'm also hearing, even though it may seem counterintuitive, to try to get as much movement as possible. So even if there's things maybe like swimming or things that seated yoga, walking as much as you can in terms of, not being afraid that you're going to fall over. But it feels like there's so much fear. There's just an intense amount of fear. And if you think about what osteoporosis it's your bones not having any strength so that you don't feel supported. So I feel like looking at ways to get support, to ask for help from other people, do things that you don't think you can do, reach beyond your comfort level. But even around feet, like feet are about moving forward in life. So think about what's holding you back and what fears are holding you back, and challenge yourself a bit on those things.
And when you get to be 80, falling, that's what gets you, doesn't it, Katie?
Oh, my goodness, that is for sure, and especially with something like, bone loss, because then you get into hips, and so the more that you can do to strengthen your hips and maybe work with a trainer on weights and things that you can safely do. I'm 58, and if I didn't vigorously exercise, my mind and body would not be in very good shape. So I could say I'm 58, I shouldn't be whatever, the things are about age, but try to put age, out of your mind and do things that make sense, for your body. But I think strengthening with light weights and things and working with a trainer and a physical therapist, I think would be really great.
She sounds like a young 80, doesn't she?
She does.
Let's go next to Rosa in California, 61 years old. Hello, Rosa.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good to have you with us. What's your question?
Oh, my question is, well, first, I wanted to say I appreciate your positive contribution, with the program and your guests. Always wanted to say that. I've just been too nervous to say it. So anyway, my question is, well, I'm blind too, by the way. It must be blind night. So I was wondering if you see my financial situation getting any better in the near future.
You're so funny. Okay, so I just have to say sometimes blindness or eye issues have to do with things that either we don't want to see in our lives or things that we see that we're really afraid of. So do things like, be aware of it. Like, don't be afraid to look at your bills, and don't be afraid to kind of, confront your situation head on. I feel like in terms of abundance, that you're doing really well with what you have, and that is to be commended. So give yourself credit for that and your resourcefulness, because that's amazing. You feel very stable, even though there's some fear there. So concentrate on what's working, on what's going well in your life. And I'm hearing if you haven't, to look into resources for the blind or different, programs in your area, maybe like things for older people. But I'm hearing that there's resources out there that you're not aware of. So maybe go through, an Elderly Services Bureau or something like that. You don't have to pay a lawyer. But I'm hearing that there's resources out there that you're not aware of, that you can get some help with.
Follow-up question, Rosa, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's wonderful. I mean, I have already attended like the Blind Center for a while and all that stuff, but I think I kind of learned more just by, like you said, just moving and doing things. I mean, I cut 3 cans a week of like my green, my bamboo in the back that we could never get rid of at my house. So even though I can't see, I use one hand to catch it with my hand and the other pruner. I manually, and everybody goes, no way, but balancing. That balancing thing is great that you explained to that lady, because even 30 seconds of balancing exercise helps me. Because anytime somebody's blind, you're always having issues like that. So,
like with proprioception and things. So, and gardening is so healthy. I mean, it's so healthy for your mind too. So I just absolutely love that you are out there and seeing the sun on your face.
Katie, what do you recommend to people who believe they have intuitive abilities, but they just haven't mastered them yet?
Well, I don't know that there's any such thing as mastering, because I feel like mine are always growing, and I'm always learning more about it. And I feel like often people will have more confidence in the intuitive information they get for others rather than themselves, because if we listen for ourselves, that means we have to, eventually act on it. But one thing to remember that takes some of the fear out of it is that we always have a choice. Our intuition does not force us to do anything. And if you're listening to your intuition or hear something and it just feels overwhelming, then maybe you can say to it, like, I hear you and I know I need to do that, and I'm not ignoring you, but right at this very moment, it feels overwhelming. So I promise to check in with you, maybe in another day, but right now I can't, and that's okay. So you're not always going to be ready, but as long as you're listening and open to things, that takes a lot of the pressure, out of it, and you can be more open to what you hear.
Where do folks get your book, Heal From Within?
They can get it just about anywhere. It's at a lot of, bookstores and things like that. The easiest place is Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and there's links to that on my website and Instagram and all the things.
You take the clients through your website?
Yes, that's how people, if they want to book, go directly through my website, and you fill out, whatever information you need in terms of how we're going to communicate and your age and name, and then you can pick a date on my calendar, and we go from there. It's really simple.
All right, Katie, thank you for being on the program again. Keep in touch with us, okay?
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Take care of yourself. And as I mentioned, we've got our live program Monday night on Coast to Coast, our Labor Day show, so make sure you're part of the program. and sit back and enjoy and participate. We've got 2 special guests, and you'll love the show. For Adam Thompson, Tom Danheiser, Dan Galante, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladesseur, Stephanie Smith, Chris Burrows, Tim Banal, George Knapp, and Ian Punnett,